This is the mid-year freakout tag, and I'm freaking out, as you can tell. Yo, I don't really film sit-down videos anymore because I bore myself to sleep. I hate it. It's not me. It's not meant for me, okay? Like, I am not entertaining enough to just sit down here and speak for 20 minutes. I wish I would. I thought the only kind of videos I will do that are sit-down videos is gonna be like best and worst books of the year, what books I bought, and the mid-year freakout tag. To prepare for this, I watched last year's mid-year freakout tag, which I will link up here. You can watch if you want to see my growth. You know, I've grown so much during this year, like, not to flex or anything. Oh, since I brought attention to my hair, please don't comment about it. I hate it so much. I did it yesterday. Like, I look like a fucking zebra. I was like, can we do this? And she's like, absolutely. Leave it on me. I know how to do this. I'm a hairdresser. I was so upset. I walked home, like, fuming, like, walking home while I was crying on my phone to my mom. Mommy, they're making me look like a zebra. I called them in today and I was like, hi. You did something to my hair yesterday? Could you maybe, I don't know, fix it? And we're like, well, come in, we're gonna check it out. I'm not upset. I'm fine. Didn't spend 5 hours yesterday crying. I didn't. I wouldn't do that. I am mature. I know how to handle stressful situations, and it's not like it ruined my life. You know when you're like already insecure and like one tiny thing can break you? I'm a broken woman. Just listen to this video instead of looking at it, okay? Also, like a little challenge for you. I'm trying to stand up straight because I'm like slouching like this. Anytime you see me forgetting that I am a lady that needs to stand up as if I've swallowed an umbrella, just roast me down below. Roast me, be savage. And I am absolutely not just imploring you to do that exclusively to inflate the statistics of this video. I would never do that. I don't care about numbers. Numbers mean nothing to me. I'm not shallow. What's happening to me? I've taken this persona today and I don't know what's going on. I haven't filmed in so long and I'm feeling sassy. This is the mid-year freakout tag and I'm freaking out, as you can tell. So question number 1, best book you've read so far in 2021. Last year, at this point, I had read 20 books, and right now, I am about to finish my 40th. But I haven't really read anything that stood out apart from Anna Karenina. That's the video I will link at the end of this video, okay? Have you seen my dress? Isn't that a pretty dress? Oh my god. I absolutely did not just buy it to wear it by myself in quarantine in my bedroom. Anyway, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. It is an exceptional book. It's a Russian literature classic. It was extremely accessible in its language, in the narrative, in the style. There was 2 love stories that I absolutely adored, especially the toxic one because it speaks to my soul. The only daunting thing is that it's long, but like, you've read long books before. The second question, best sequel you've read so far in 2021. So that was a bit of a hard question to answer. I've only read 3 sequels and I just had to pick the least bad one because the other 2 I didn't really enjoy. So the other 2 was the second book of Shadow and Bone. I didn't really enjoy this trilogy. I am obsessed with the TV show. I've watched it 3 times so far. If you told me I could end up with the actor Mal, take my limb. I don't need it. I believe that Shadow and Bone is gonna be my new Twilight. Like, that's the phase I've entered, and I am very happy here. Leave me alone. The other sequel I read and didn't enjoy was the sequel to Silver in the Wood. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I don't remember what happened. But a very good sequel that I actually read. Can you call it a sequel if it's part of a 13-book series? The Reptile Room wins this round by Lemony Snicket, and he is the author of the series of Unfortunate Events, which is one of the best series I've ever read. These books are written for kids. Stop snoozing on the series of Unfortunate Events. It's an incredible book series. It's so smartly written. I am gatekeeping it. I'm like, it shouldn't be for kids. Kids are too dumb. Like, it's for me. This was written for me and I loved it. Checking it's recording, you know, I don't want to have any drama. Third question, new release that you haven't read yet but you want to. I genuinely could not care less about new releases. I do want a book to have its run before I bite into it. I want to know if it's good or not. I don't like wasting my time because my time is so valuable. What am I doing? I had pre-ordered The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green because I worship this man. Anything he does, I want to throw my money at him. I'm like, here, become a billionaire. I don't care. I'll support you on anything that you do. And I listened to it and I get now why people read nonfiction. It made me so emotional. It's so well written. Anybody who has ever said anything negative about John Green, let's fight. I'll fight you, bitch. I don't care. You think I have any shame left? There's zero shame, zero fear. I've been working out. Let's fight. That's it. Meet me in the corner. How about that? Question number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't know, I don't care. Question number 5, biggest disappointment so far this year. I read Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, and like it was a very hyped book, especially from like a booktuber that I follow, Kevin. I read it and it was like worse than the movie, and the movie is quite bad. Like it's a very poorly made film, and I was like, oh, it's even worse. But this type of writing that's like, it was the same as like Nick and Charlie, the book. I don't enjoy this type of writing. I find it too stupid. Biggest surprise. Raise your hand if you're guilty, but you know when a booktuber that you trust like trashes an author, absolutely like buries them to the ground, and you can just believe them without ever having read it? I'm guilty of that. And Caleb was like tearing to shreds Colin Hoover, to the point that when one of my best friends started listening to the audiobook of the book that I'm gonna talk right now from Colin Hoover, I bullied her to return the audiobook before she even got to the good part. I'm ashamed of myself. I am disgusted. So this book is called It Ends With Us, and it's one of the best romance books I've ever read. My life would have been different if I had read this when I needed to. If you love The After series by Anna Todd, read this book right after it to understand and save yourself from getting into a toxic relationship that's gonna ruin your life and scar you forever. The trauma you accumulate, you carry it with you forever. If you're a girl, read this book. Read this book. Absolutely, you have to read this book. People should be taught this book in schools. You absolutely have to do a favor to yourself and read this book, especially if you're younger, because I feel like if you're older, unfortunately most women do have trauma from a past relationship, so especially if you've never had a boyfriend, read this instead. Question number 7, new favorite author. Lemony Snicket is one of the most talented authors I've ever come across. I know his real name is like Daniel Handler, but like he goes by Lemony Snicket in the books that I've read, so I'm gonna mention that name. The series of Unfortunate Events, those books are so well written. I don't even like plot-driven books, but these books are so well written. They consume you. Like they're so smart. I love intelligent people. So like anything that sounds even slightly smart or pretentious, I'm like, this is my jam, this is written for me, it's for smart people only, you know what I mean? A book that made you cry. So first and foremost, I have to mention The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. That book made me bawl my eyes out. I even tried to make a TikTok about it, but I was too shy and lazy to actually accomplish it. But it's one of the best YA books ever written. I wholeheartedly believe that. In the version that I read on the audiobook, at the end of it, it had like a chapter talking to you about her life once the book ended, and that's the part that made me cry so heavily. Like I was on my bus from work crying, trying not to make a scene, and then the moment I entered my house, I went up to my mommy and I cried about it a lot, and I proceeded crying for a couple of hours because that story killed me. That was the book that made me cry the most, but I also cried reading King and the Dragonflies. That was very cute and emotional read. I also cried with It Ends With Us. Oh, I also cried with A Kite Runner. I forgot about that. That made me cry so much. Question number 11, book that made you happy. When I read this question, I was actually confused because I didn't really think that I read any happy books this year. And then I looked through my list and I realized that the only happy book I read was actually a reread that I chose to read because I was feeling very unhappy. So I read Red, White and Royal Blue, and that was less good than it was the first time, but it made me moderately happier than I was. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year? I've only bought 3 books with me. This couldn't win because I took off the dust jacket because I was ashamed to admit that this is the book I'm reading in public. I had it in the airport as well, and I was like such like a main character energy, like reading my big book. I'm making notes because this is literature. I have this book which I find super ugly. I don't like the design. I don't like boring books like that. And I've been trying to read this book since like probably March, maybe even February. I have to change my life after I finish it, and I don't want to change my life. Apart from like standing straight and getting a boyfriend, that's the only 2 changes I want in my life. From default, this is the only pretty book I have with me. And the last question, what books do you have to read by the end of the year? For that, I have to check my bullet journal. I have a list here for the classics that I need to read. These are the only books that I force myself to read. I don't really have reading lists apart from that. I just buy books by impulse, and then I just have to read them because I bought them. That's how it works for me. So the books I have left are Don Quixote, that's such a big book, Man's Search for Meaning, Peter Pan, To the Lighthouse, The Bell Jar, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Book Thief, and The Giver, which is basically like every book I mentioned in my classics TBR video. Yeah, this is it. Bye.